I'm excited about today's episode because
This is Auto Collabs.
today's guest is kind of a foundational part of the automotive media landscape. And I've heard
Absolutely.
so many people mention his name and say great things about him, but we've never had a conversation. And those are some of my favorite podcast episodes.
Yeah, the man is Bill Zadeits, and he has a long history of serving the industry, specifically with used car knowledge. It's like very, very defined. What if you go to Cherokee Media Group or to Auto Remarketing, you know what you're getting yourself into. You are learning about the pace, the progress, the people that are doing it best, the changes in the used car market, and so I'm excited to see how that's continued to stay that refined as the business has grown.
Well, the business
And
has been around
yeah,
forever. I think any
right.
any dealership or any business that has been around for decades, and you can measure that in the plural, there's definitely something to learn. And they've seen a
Yep.
few cycles of the auto industry specifically. We've been talking about like, hey, it's nice that we see a couple cycles, but our couple cycles are relatively recent when we talk about the last 10, 15 years. But
Right.
they've had the opportunity to see like big cycles and big technology changes. And it'll be interesting because I mean, I've just only heard good things about this man.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you enjoy this conversation with Bill Zeitz. Oh man, Bill, we are so excited to have you in a conversation today. Another partner in the automotive media verse, as it is. So thanks for joining us here on Auto Collabs.
Oh man, Kyle, Paul, I appreciate this. It's an honor for me to be able to spend some time with you guys, and yeah, looking forward to our time together and in our conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. So many people have heard about the properties by which Cherokee Media Group now manages over the years that you have kind of grown the reach and the events and the digital and the print and all the things that serve our industry so well. But how did you get into
Oh
all of that?
man,
Where did that start?
It's going back to the beginning.
we're
Give us
going way
that.
back. I'm a lot older than you guys, so this will take you back. But yeah, so I joined the company in 1995.
Wow.
So I'm coming up on my 28th year here in the middle of March. But my background, I was in radio and TV. I was in radio and TV. So I came out of college and like a lot of guys, I wanted to be a sportscaster. I wanted to go to ESPN. I wanted to be that guy. And happened to be, really fortunate. We're here in North Carolina, and I got a job with the University of North Carolina, the Tar Heels, doing some of their
Oh
radio
no.
stuff.
Oh no.
So you
Not
Syracuse guys, yeah.
no,
Well, the
Uh,
good
I'm
news is I'm
I'm a
not from
Duke fan.
Syracuse.
okay, all right, I got you.
I'm a Duke fan through
Oh
and through.
my
My dad
gosh.
went to
Well,
Duke.
good
Yeah,
talking
I
to you
know.
guys. Got
It was good. It was
It's
good
fun,
chat,
man.
Paul.
I don't even like college sports. I can stay, right?
That's good.
So yeah, no, and like anybody, you start out, you're the low man on the totem pole, but it was just a great learning experience. This is back in the day when the radio play-by-play guys were iconic. It's before the
Yeah.
internet, and
Oh,
so I learned a lot, man, and it was great. My wife was in school at North Carolina at the time, and so got a chance to meet her, and that's been a great thing for me throughout my life. We just celebrated 30 years last year, so
oh,
that's fun.
congrats.
So yeah, I learned a little bit about the business from that standpoint. I was on the broadcast side, and so I learned a lot about production, and I learned a lot about how that business works. But I think the biggest part, it was almost like an unofficial grad school thing for me, because I really didn't understand the business side of it, the revenue side and how it all worked. And so that was really formative for me at that time. And so after doing that for a couple of years, I was fortunate. I got a TV gig. There's a small market here in North Carolina, if you're familiar with Wilmington, Myrtle Beach area, kind of down on
Yep.
the coast in southeastern North Carolina. And I got a job as their sports anchor. And 22 years old, rolling down. It was the NBC affiliate down in Wilmington,
You were like
WETT.
doing the walk, right?
Oh my
He
gosh,
was
man!
doing the
Yeah,
walk.
I thought it was big stuff. But again, it's part of the growth, right? It's part You're young and you're figuring it all out. So I worked in TV for about 4 or 5 years and anchored sports and did that type of thing. Again, a lot of learning, a lot of understanding about the production side and how things come together, but even more so about the revenue side of the business and how you're, the goal to couple great content for whatever your audience may be with the revenue side, which kind of underwrites and keeps everything flowing. And so after 4 or 5 years there, I had had enough of, getting home at 12:30 in the morning and that type of thing. We knew we wanted to start a family. So we kind of came back here to the Triangle area, the Raleigh-Durham area. And I was fortunate to join our company. I was the fourth one. There were three people at the time. I was the fourth one. And my job was to come in and start selling advertising for auto remarketing, which at the time was just a 8.5 by 11 magazine that we produced 10 times a year. And
How did selling the magazine, like, how did selling that go? Tell us about
it
that
was,
process.
it was difficult because I don't have an automotive background, right? I have no automotive industry background. Everything I had done before would be considered um, B2C type of stuff, to a
Yep.
Right.
vast audience, whether you're a Tar Heel fan or whether you like sports, NASCAR or whatever it was in Southeastern North Carolina.
Mhm.
So it was coming into a B2B audience that was, auto dealers, franchise independent, the OEMs, the banks, all the vendors,
Mm.
all that type of thing, and
Mhm.
learning the business a little bit. And I'm not that smart, so it took me a long time. I'm still in that learning phase.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate because of that. The 5 or 6 years before that, I did understand kind of coupling advertising or sponsorship dollars with content. And it's 28 years later, here I am. I'm, knock
Well,
on wood, I'm still around.
well,
So
we can
it's
tell
been
you
a lot
from
of fun.
firsthand experience, that's not easy.
It's not easy.
And so
Um,
we're like just taking notes over here.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I wish I had the magic bullet for you,
I
but
know. I mean, we always we feature your content quite a bit in our morning show. Actually, I think the first story today was an auto remarketing story
yeah,
about how people value how the in-store experience actually makes a big impact on the overall experience, especially with millennials and Gen Z.
yeah,
You've been in that seat now through the transition of a couple of these generations. And how have you been like approaching things differently now? I mean, we're starting to see Gen Z become a major buying demographic,
for sure.
and millennials becoming, leaders inside stores
I know.
and having some authority, and obviously pushing a lot of feedback up and looking to you for guidance, and your publications.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I have to give all the credit to our content team. I don't know if you guys know Joe Overby, Nick Zullivan,
He's
Andy
coming to ASOTUCon
Freeman.
this year.
Yeah, good, good, good. Those guys are great, and they're really the ones that have their fingers on the pulse of the industry. They, in their own rights, have kind of grown up with us as well. We hired them when they were just young guns. They're both former newspaper guys, and worked in sports, worked in news, had some really great experiences, learning experiences coming out of it. And they've kind of learned the industry, right? Neither one of them
Mhm.
had worked in a store, neither one of them had sold a car, none of that type of stuff. But what they do, and I give them great credit for it, is that they're great listeners. They're great
Mhm.
listeners and really smart in their own right. So it's been great to see those guys grow up and kind of grow up the editorial team beneath them. And we're humbled. The fact that people trust us as a content source is something you can't buy. You earn over time, and we've been fortunate to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's changing, right? I mean, we're hiring people now that actually understand social media, and unlike me, yeah, right? I'm thinking, oh, I made a Facebook post a couple of weeks back. It doesn't work that way. And I think part of it is being humble enough to understand that I'm not the person with the skill sets to reach, as you mentioned, Paul. I mean, this new generation, right? I mean, or new generations as they come through.
Yeah.
My kids communicate completely differently than the way I do, and understanding that and diving into that and not being afraid of it, understanding you're going to make mistakes along the way, but also being bold enough to say, hey, you know what? You fail fast and you keep going, man. You keep stepping forward. Keep climbing is one of our phrases around here. They're tired of me saying I'm the old guy that says, "Hey, you know what, Kyle? Great work, bro. Hey, keep climbing." They're like, "Oh yeah,
It's like no, it's like a sign off.
Bill
You
is
know what I
yeah,
mean? That's the radio. That's
yeah,
the radio sign off, right? Keep climbing.
keep climbing,
There
baby."
you go. I
So
like it.
yeah,
What over the years, because it started out as auto remarketing,
yeah,
but you've grown to, the buy here, pay here
sure,
space, the used car, and even getting into Canada,
yeah,
which is a whole other ball game
for sure,
of content and the way the dealers and industry partners and OEMs interact.
yeah.
How has that like movement to scale and bring other things on um impacted or been impacted by the growth that you've experienced, and how has that transition over time worked?
Yeah, like any company, I mean, you have some ideas, and then you end up on an off ramp, right? "Oh, that this didn't work. We're going that way." I think that
So familiar.
as you understand where I'm coming from.
So
You can
familiar.
feel me on that.
Oh, real deep.
Um, but anyway, I think that as we moved forward with the title and with the content, we got into having a website, and we got into sending email to people, and those were some of the first kind of baby steps in terms of that. I would say one of the biggest things, and I give our founders, a gentleman by the name of Ron Smith, who started the company years and years ago, originally just as a small public relations firm.
Mm.
Mm.
But Ron, I mean, and he retired a few years ago, back at the end of 2017, and kind of entrusted us with his baby, to kind of carry it forward. And I give Ron a lot of credit. He saw the opportunity in live events, and that really changed the face of what we do and how we do it. You talk about Canada, going into Canada and starting an event, and that really began to help us build relationships with people other than just being on the phone or texting or whatever it might be. And so I would say that that really was a major factor in it. The the example I give to a lot of our staff or to people that ask me about the value of that, it's as if you're a sports fan or you're a music fan or you're a comedy fan, whatever it might be. Yes, you can watch that game at home. You can sit on your couch, you can drink the beer from your own fridge, you can eat your own snacks and hang out and relax and just chill, and when it's over, you turn it off or you go to the next one or whatever it might be. But if you go to a football game or you go to a Buffalo Bills game or whatever, it's the tailgate, it's the interaction with the people, it's the vibe, it's the smell, it's the excitement of that. And I'm not
Yep.
comparing an automotive event other than yours to that type of experience, right? I see the music back there, all right? We're breaking out the guitar, we're hanging out. But being there, showing up does make a difference. The relationships are cemented, they are grown, they're new, whatever it might be. And yes, hopefully you get some knowledge out of that. Maybe you furthered a relationship for your business, maybe you furthered a relationship for your career and the next step, whatever that
Mhm.
might be. But that really started the energy. And our first event was October of 99. So we're 25 years into it. It's changed a
Wow.
lot. It's changed a lot.
Congrats.
I never knew we'd have a pickleball tournament at our event, right? I
That
mean,
is
I
that
mean,
That was so cool.
I
That's
mean,
so smart this year.
you know,
that was Kyle's and I first event that we had been to, like used car week. That was our
okay, cool,
first
yeah,
one and
yeah,
this
it
year,
was,
and we went out and like we pulled up and like we're looking at the agenda, we're like, I'm doing this right. Right.
yeah.
The vibe was great.
It's a lot of fun, these after hours events and these different things, that really kind of make it what it is as an experience for people.
Well, just
Um,
relationship goes
yeah,
faster.
yeah,
Right? I think that regardless of whether it's a new relationship or it's an existing one that gets cemented, it goes faster and farther when you're
no
in
doubt.
person. Like we're all, used to these Zoom calls, but I guarantee you, if the three of us were in the same room right now,
Yeah,
we would have a vastly different experience than we are right now.
Totally different. Yep.
Because
100%.
it's the pregame, it's the postgame, like you
Yeah,
mentioned, live music. It's the nuance of the presence of the band
right.
and then the other fans, you're the presence and the nuance of the other people in the community that believe the same thing in a slightly different way and a slightly different take. There's just a level of trust that's built instantly,
Yep,
and you cannot. I think we've learned through the last three years, with all the questions being asked, like, will we return to office? Will this just be the way it is? Are events dead now? Like, I think we've answered that question once and for all, that they
yeah,
will never, you will never, ever, ever to be able to replace the velocity and the intensity of relationship when you're in person.
No doubt, no doubt. Like I love to listen to Rush, right? So I've got Rush cranked up in my truck coming into the office this morning. But
Mm.
unless you're standing in that stadium or that Coliseum and you got Geddy Lee just, belting it
Right.
out,
Watching
Come
Neil
on
Peart
now.
just do his thing,
Neil
right?
Peart
yeah,
just
right. I mean,
living on a drum,
Neil
right?
Peart just tearing it up, right? I mean, God bless him, man. I mean, what a great, all time, right? But
Mhm.
You're like now. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
Bills are people. My
Dun,
man's
dun,
listening
dun,
to
right.
Rush on the
dun.
way in.
Yeah.
There
You
it
know,
is.
That
but unless you went to that Rush concert, you can't tell anybody. We've all seen it, right? Some guy's at a concert and he's recording it on his phone. You're like, dude, that is not. And then he
you're
posts
missing
it.
the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he posts it and you're listening to it. It's just like totally overmodulated. The lights off. I mean, you can't
Did you
see
go
any.
to did you go to the Sphere when you were at
No,
NADA?
I didn't. I didn't get a chance
Okay.
to. I didn't
So
get a chance to.
Kyle
But
and I went to the welcome reception one. We didn't go see you two, which I really wish we could have.
oh yeah,
Um and we're in there, right? And you're in this immersive experience, right? And everyone's got their phone out. And like I did too. I was like, oh, look at
yeah,
and
it's natural.
then I was like, this doesn't even come close.
No,
To explaining,
Not even
right?
close. And I brought it home to my family. I was like, look at this. I was like, they're like, oh, it's cool. I was like, no, no, no. This isn't like a planetarium. Like you just
right.
never mind.
Yeah,
Never mind.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
throw
You
your
can't.
phone.
You
Not
can't.
even close.
And I get it. I get it. An automotive event may not be a Rush concert. It may not be, the
Right.
Super Bowl or whatever. But what we're talking about is just the basics of human nature, right? If you're in the automotive industry and you're not hitting these events and you're not investing, I get it. It's more expensive. Yeah, you're going to spend more.
And it's time,
It
right?
is. All of those elements play into it. But if you go and you really, apply yourself to it, get so much out of it. So many unexpected things,
And
really.
I think
So much,
there's a
yeah.
lot of like what we're starting to see now. Like, I mean, we're just getting started in our journey. Um, but even seeing like last year at the event, the collaboration that happens between dealers and industry partners
Yep.
that would never ever happen on a Zoom call because they just get to talking.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
like when you schedule a Zoom, there's this pressure of like, we have to accomplish this in this time frame. So everyone's like, all right. And you have people
Yeah.
call, but they get to talking. And we've actually watched like products be developed
Sure.
that synthesized at conversations when people were in person.
No doubt. No
And
doubt.
that can't happen any other way.
No, it can't. And I can say one of the things that really is cool to me, and this is over the course of time, but inevitably in the automotive industry, someone gets pushed out of a position or decides to leave a position, whatever it may be. It's just
Mhm.
not the right fit. And maybe I've got a relationship with that person, and they said, Bill, I'm not working with XYZ company right now, but I'd still really love to come out. I would absolutely probably done this 10 or 12 times over the course of time. Like, hey, Paul, no doubt you come out. If you can pay for your flight in the hotel, you have a free pass to come and network and find this next position.
Oh, that's
Right.
amazing.
Right. And talk about fulfilling when they get that note back or something. Dude, at your place, at used car week, I met so-and-so and guess what? I start on Monday. And that to me
Ah,
is a little bit of the cool factor that nobody
Really
sees.
neat.
It's kind of the underlying type thing. But again, it's the power of showing up. You can't do that on a Zoom. You can't do that on a call. Here's my resume, whatever.
there it
Um,
is. The power of showing up.
yeah,
The
show
next
up,
book.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are
There it
some
is.
of the
There's your book.
little things that over time have been gratifying and a lot of fun for me. A lot of fun for me because I think the skill sets that I had early on kind of naturally led into hosting a panel conversation or building
Mhm.
out content or trying to figure some stuff out. And not that we have it right, we're always tweaking, always trying to get better, but it did really give me personally, at least, a good foundation for where we are today, which is still, a lot of fun for me.
I always
Yeah,
say
that's awesome.
never straight, always forward is kind of
Yeah.
like you
Love it.
never get there actually. You just kind of keep moving.
Keep
Kyle, what were
climbing,
you gonna
baby.
say?
So,
Keep
Keep
so what?
climbing.
climbing.
Yeah.
Keep
So what's
climbing.
on the horizon? Like as you're climbing, what are you looking forward to next in the next year or two?
Yeah.
What is Cherokee Media Group, Auto Remarketing, Used Car Week,
Yeah.
kind of gearing up for?
Well, we're in the process right now of hiring some new people. I mentioned some younger people, younger demographics that understand our social better, understand our technology better, understand some things that I know we need to be doing better, but I don't have the skill sets for it. And
Hmm.
so for me at this point, it's almost kind of sitting back and saying, and listening, continue to
Mhm.
listen because everyone has different ideas about which way we should move. But for us, I mean, certainly when you look at the title auto remarketing, our goal is to be, the source for used car information. And that spans from, as you mentioned, buy here, pay here, all the way through to, Brian Benstock and his CPO operation, whatever it may be, right? We want to be that source, that first source for used car information for the industry. Franchise dealers, independent dealers, OEMs, banks, auto finance companies, the vendor community, all of that. So that is primarily that is job one. We want to be that.
Yep.
And so as you said, that's a never ending game. Every day starts fresh. There's always some new things there. So we continue to kind of climb in that direction.
Well, the Auto Intel Summit is coming up in April.
Yeah.
Is it 23rd, right? April
Yeah, we're
23rd through
23rd through the
25th.
25th.
What
Absolutely.
is that? Tell us about the event for people who might not know.
Yeah, I think that as we kind of looked at our portfolio of events, and as you mentioned, Canada's Used Car Week is in June. We have Used Car Week in November. We had this hole in the spring of each year. And one of the thoughts around it was that, the industry, and this was 2018. So we've kind of carried this baby through COVID and had to do a restart with it because it, as you guys know, 2 or 3 years, you really, I mean, if you don't have it after the third year, you really need to rethink what you're doing.
Yeah.
But we had some great momentum. And what we thought with regard to the focus of it was built completely around business intelligence. We get it. There's going to be networking. We get it. There's going to be, VPs of sales, all those kinds of things that might be a part of it. But it was really digging deeper in answering the question for AIS. The question that needs to be answered at this event is, what's next? And so that changes from year to year. It's again, we're always looking forward. And so the idea was to bring in these experts, these people that we might not normally have at any of the other two events, and have them share with us some of those thoughts, some of those prognostications, some of those things that, hey, we don't know a thing about. I don't understand a thing about this AI, whatever it was, right? And have that come together. And it's just played together very nicely. It's not our biggest event, it's not designed to be our biggest event, but it really kind of serves a need among some of the brainiacs out there. At first we were like, all right, we're going to call this the conference for the nerds. And I'm like, no, that's, I don't want to say that. That's not what it is.
But it is what it is.
I'm there. I'm chief nerd,
Yeah.
right? I'll be the nerdiest of the nerd, but certainly not qualified to speak. But anyway, so that's where we came out of the ground with it, and it's kind of evolved over time. We have brought in a little bit of our core remarketing group, in that they were saying, to us, the feedback was, hey, this is great, but we'd really like to see a little bit more on the wholesale side and what's happening there. And such a dynamic, industry that
Always.
incredible. Just the supply of the used vehicle, market is incredible on its own. So we've blended those two together, and it's been a lot of fun. And we're going to be in Cary, right here, right down the street from our offices, in April, and it's coming together really nicely. So you guys have a personal invitation. Love to have you come down and scope it out.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I actually have a really good friend who lives in Cary. It was my best friend growing up. Grew up in Philly and New Jersey. Kyle, you know what they call Cary?
Yes.
CARY, containment area for relocated Yankees.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
But as a native North Carolinian, I would say
That's true.
It's still a good blend. and
don't let that keep you away.
Don't let that keep you out.
Well, Bill, it was amazing spending a few minutes with you. Thank you so much for sharing some of your trip down memory lane, and also for the meaningful work that you're doing every day. Keep climbing. I'm going to say it to you.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Paul, Kyle, great spending some time with you. Appreciate what you guys are doing. I really do. I think it's a creative, and the energy and the passion that you have for it, man, is obvious. So yeah, keep climbing, guys. Hope you have a great day.
Keep climbing, Kyle.
Keep climbing.
That's fantastic.
It's a full, when you said it's like a full-on radio sign off,
I'm gonna remember. He's like, I'm the old guy. Now he doesn't seem that old to me, but maybe that's because I'm getting old, right? I'm round to the corner now where it's like I'm getting to the point where it's gonna be 40. I'm gonna be 45 soon. So it's like I'm no longer a young man. I'm not an old man. I'm just a man.
Just a man. Just a man learning to be a man. I so appreciate, because we talk so much about what live events mean to us, just personally, but also the brand of ASOTU more than cars, and how we see communities like flourish through live events. And I love how he said hey, if you're not at least hitting a couple few events a year,
Mhm.
like it is worth the
You're
investment
missing
of your
out.
time, your finances to do that because the speed of innovation, the speed of connection, the speed of conversation that happens within these live events, no matter, I don't care which one you go to. It can be the newest one, the oldest one, the biggest one, the smallest one. They all have something unique to offer that if you do them the right way, carefully attend them, pay attention, engage with the right people, can provide massive business change. Way more than, I mean, we love podcasts, we love interviews, we love daily emails, we love all of that part of media, but it is so much faster when you're in person.
Because let's be honest, you're gonna turn this off and you're gonna forget about it.
There it
Right?
is.
And when you're in a live event, it's right there, and you make connections, and even like neural connections.
Yep.
This and this, because you're perceiving all the nuance,
Well, the
all the
smell, the
inputs,
sights, the feel, the engage. Yeah, it's all of that.
all of it. I mean, we weren't intending on saying this now, but we are having an event called
Hey,
ASOTU May 14th through 17th in Baltimore. We hope you can join us there because we put a lot of intentionality into all the nuance of the event. And the people that show up there, yep, they're ready to do that too. But for today, on behalf of myself and Kyle Mountsier, thank you for joining us on Auto Collabs.
welcome to Auto Collabs. Why are we recording?
Are we rolling? Yeah.